Good afternoon, all, and thank you for joining me today. So, my name is Joel Hogan. I'm the Customer Success Manager at Charity Digital. So, for nearly 7 years now, I've been providing support to charities in a number of different ways. So, that's from frontline support, such as live chat and email, to delivering consultations, webinars, and funny enough, focus groups as well. So, our major focus at Charity Digital, like all charities, is impact measurement. Now, for over a year now, I've been providing consultations to charities of all shapes and sizes, from advising the best offers out there for software and to hardware, to picking out solutions as well that may be missing from a charity as well. Now, we like to experiment and with how we engage with our audience at Charity Digital. So, like I said, we provided consultations. We started a successful live chat last year as well, which is really, really great. And as you very well know, we provide content and mail shots, should I say, based on a person's particular interests. Now, Charity Digital has the same challenges as all charities right now, with one of them being capacity building. So, how do we do more for less? I guess is the question. Now, our next step in measuring our impact for engagement leads us to this event today. So we want to provide small focus groups to a specific charity type that we feel may need education on a topic that perhaps has been overlooked or maybe not as absorbed. I've spoken to lots of charities that are sort of based in mental health over the years about a variety of topics. And the trend I see is there is a gap at times in cybersecurity. So this could be from simple internal processes that should come as a standard practice to software or solutions that can protect them. So just go next slide. So yeah, just a few slides there today, and then we can go for like a Q&A. So in terms of the agenda, so I'm going to speak a little bit more about the main cybersecurity risks mental health organizations are facing. Also talk about some of the quick wins your charity should be able to employ pretty quickly. I'll then be talking about some software-based solutions that are available at a charitable discount, and I'll also provide you some useful links outside of Charity Digital and some other sort of outside of Charity Digital, like sort of software ideas as well. And also finally, as I mentioned, there'll be a Q&A which will be available at the end. I'll do my best to answer any questions. We do have some pre-submitted questions as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of those trends. So, mental health charities face several cybersecurity risks, many of which are common to organizations in any sector, but some are particularly relevant given the sensitive nature of the data that mental health charities handle. So we'll go through this list as you can see here. So we'll start with data breaches. So mental health charities typically handle sensitive information about individuals' mental health conditions, treatment plans, and personal details. A data breach could lead to the exposure of this confidential information, resulting in severe consequences for the individuals affected and also damaging the reputation of the charity themselves. Now, for phishing attacks, cyber criminals may target employees of the charity with phishing emails designed to trick them into revealing sensitive information or providing access to the organization's systems. Now, since mental health charities often rely on email communication for client outreach and also fundraising as well, staff members may be particularly susceptible to these types of attacks. Now, ransomware attacks can encrypt the charity's data and demand payment for its release. If critical mental health records are encrypted in such an attack, it could severely disrupt your charity's operations and compromise its ability to provide support to your clients. Historically and today, ransomware is still one of the most common forms of cyber attacks, with a rise on AI-based cyber attacks now rivaling it in the modern day. So with third-party risks, many mental health organizations rely on third-party vendors or providers for services such as your web hosting, payment processing, or sort of any other software solutions. Now, these vendors have weak security measures in place. They could inadvertently expose your charity to cyber threats. Now, social engineering is one that's certainly definitely on the rise. It's always been there, but certainly been on the rise as well recently. So cyber attackers may attempt to manipulate individuals within the organization through social engineering techniques to gain access to sensitive information or systems. Now, this could include tactics such as pretexting, where an attacker poses as a trusted individual to deceive like staff members or trustees, something like that, into providing access or information. This type of attack is also extremely common, as I mentioned. Now, there are some compliance challenges, obviously, with mental health organizations. So, mental health charities and organizations may be subject to regulations, um, such as General Data Protection Regulation, so GDPR, as you all know for short, though that abbreviation we should be very, very familiar over the last sort of definitely 4, 5, 6, 7 years, however long. So across Europe there, failing to comply with the GDPR regulations could result in significant fines and legal consequences. And also, there's one here is called insider threats. Now, employees or volunteers with access to sensitive information may intentionally or accidentally misuse it. Now, this could include inappropriate access to client records, unauthorized disclosure of confidential information, or negligent handling of data that results in a breach as well. And we'll get, like I said, right at the end as well with the non-cyber security mindset for staff and volunteers. Um, Obviously, everyone, when it comes to cybersecurity, may not have it at the top of their mind. So when it comes, people may not have that sort of same approach or safety approach to cybersecurity in their day-to-day activities. It may not be on the top of their priorities, and because of that, that could certainly potentially bring in a sort of breach or an incorrect link is clicked as well. So anyway, enough of the negative. Let's talk about some of the risks. So let's talk about some of the wins that we can employ straight away to help us with our cybersecurity. Now, number one, so you always want to keep your software up to date. Basic as it sounds, I know that we all get a little bit lazy sometimes, such as a phone update comes through, or some part of your PCs are asking you to update, or something like that. So, cybersecurity breaches often happen when there are vulnerabilities in your software which has not been updated. When you receive a message to update, treat it as critical rather than an annoyance. Now, number two, now not only do you need to bring security in internally, but your audience, your members, your clients, followers, they also need to have trust as well. Now, one way to do that is to ensure that you are communicating with your own email domain. It's important for any organization, let alone charities or mental health organizations, that you use a dedicated email domain to bring trust to your audience. It's extremely easy to create an email address using something like Gmail or Hotmail that anyone could pose as a member of your organization due to there being public data available, such as, for example, the Charity Commission will list the names of your trustees, for example. So it's easy enough to take that information and pose as them using such as a Gmail and Hotmail address. Now, emails, like I said, emails as well, like these Gmail accounts and Hotmail accounts can be created in very few simple steps, even by people with a really sort of a basic skill set. And they can be used to target the most vulnerable or uneducated members of your community. Now, two-factor or multi-factor authentication adds another layer of security. Now, I do understand, yes, that it can come across annoying as another layer of security sometimes, but it is part of your responsibility that when using tech or software associated with your charity to be another layer of protection. It's important as well to remove sensitive information. So this can be associated with GDPR compliancy, which we touched on a little bit already, but do ensure you do remove information that is no longer needed or being used. A simple first step on that is basically to check your recent downloads tab and ask yourself how much of that are you really using that right now. So anything that's downloaded to your device, just check on the download section, and it could be like it might be a long list. And it could be very likely that you're not using that information at all. It could be a PDF you've briefly downloaded or something like that. So it's really good to regularly sort of remove that information for sure. Now, with number 5, so with sensitive data you have access to, you should really be encrypting your data, or at the very least adding a sort of a password requirements when sharing information. Now, I'm sure I don't need to go through the importance of safeguarding your data. I'm sure that you're very aware of that already, but there are many options on how to do this, which you should have access to already, but there are some options that I'll go through in a few moments. And then finally, for a quick win as well, ensure that your firewalls are switched on as well. So a firewall monitors your internet traffic that aims to access your computer and denies access anything that may raise an alarm. Now, please note that a firewall alone isn't your main protection, but more, like I said, it's more like an alarm, but it's definitely worth having that switched on. So let's look at some of the options that are available. So some of these, like I'll start off with some of the options via Charity Digital, of course. So it's important a mental health organization to assess its specific cybersecurity needs and requirements and choose cybersecurity software that aligns with its budget, infrastructure, and compliance obligations. Additionally, regular software updates, patches, and security configurations are crucial to maintaining the effectiveness of these cybersecurity measures. So, and with Avast, you may see Charity Digital talk about Avast as an option a lot. And the main reason for that is for the accessibility and inclusion. So eligibility criteria can often be a stumbling block for many organizations. Now, with Avast, they are more than happy to provide a massive discount on their cybersecurity solutions to any charity of any size registered with Charity Digital, and there'll be no restrictions on perhaps the quantity of licenses that you require. So you could come from a larger organization which uses hundreds of devices, and quite often there'll be an eligibility sort of block in place where you can maybe only get a few licenses at a charitable rate. With Avast, you can get all your licenses at the sort of the same charitable discount. Now, the Avast Cloud Care portal, which is used to manage your cybersecurity software, is really, really fantastic. You can easily assign or reassign licenses to devices as and when you wish, which is perfect if you're planning to replace devices. You don't need to buy a new license for that device. You just reassign it, which is really, really great. You can run regular reports on your devices for, like health checks as well, see what's going on with your devices. You also have the option of purchasing like content filtering add-on as well, which could stop your users from visiting websites and other sort of inappropriate content as well. And also finally, a patch management option as well is also perfect to ensure all devices are secure and cared for from a remote location. So it could avoid that need to physically check each device on a regular basis for updates. You can also install Avast, by the way, on your servers as well. So it's recommended that you don't activate all the features of an Avast license when installing on a server, as it could interfere with some of the typical operations and that a task and tasks that a server does. But there's some information about that as well. So one reason I did mention Avast finally, my final point, is that we have actually noticed a big trend at Charity Digital in mental health charities purchasing Avast solutions. If you are part of perhaps like a mental health network or group, that kind of thing, by all means, maybe work together or maybe talk about how they, Avast has sort of helped them as well. So that may be something useful to your organization. Just some also Avast certainly isn't the only option as well for cybersecurity endpoint protection. Bitdefender, another great option for cybersecurity with some great pricing available. The level of support from Bitdefender isn't quite the same quality as Avast, and there are restrictions on the amount of licenses you can purchase, and also budget restrictions as well. So if you happen to be from a larger mental health organization, Bitdefender will only provide discounts to organizations with an income of less than $1.4 million. That's kind of the because it's starts off as a US program, but anything converted to the UK, then you won't be eligible. Unfortunately, with that, it's just a rule that they've put in place. Anyway, it's still if you can access it, it's a great option and certainly has been a trusted provider of cybersecurity in the sector for many years. Bitdefender has many options such as your antivirus, internet security, and even mobile security for Android smartphones, which is a really, really nice touch. Be aware that Bitdefender does, like I say, have eligibility criteria regarding quantities of licenses and income as well, as I mentioned as well. Norton is another big name in the world of cybersecurity. Now, Norton have some great low-cost bundles available that can protect computers, tablets, and smartphones with extra features such as a firewall, VPN, and password manager. So you can cover a lot of bases with Norton. Just from some previous feedback from our customers regarding Norton via Charity Digital is that it can sometimes be a bit tricky So with this offer, sometimes our users experience delays in receiving like the software and keys from Norton themselves, which is rather frustrating, and it hasn't really changed that much or improved that much since the years I've been here. I'm not sure why. We've given them plenty of feedback about that. So that's just something to be wary about with Norton, and particularly if you're purchasing it very near your expiry date as well. You wouldn't want to sort of purchase it and then face a delay and you've gone past your expiry date. As a side note, you may or may not know, but Norton is part of a massive group called Gen Digital, which is made up of a lot of companies, which also includes Avast as well. There was a takeover there about 20 months ago, so nearly 2 years ago. And again, like Bitdefender, there is an eligibility restriction as well with Norton. So an organization can only purchase one Norton product per US fiscal year. So on our website, you might see various bundles. I think the top bundle was maybe 25 licenses. So yeah, perfect if you're a small organization, but probably not the best option available for larger mental health organizations. Now onto the biggest, the big for Microsoft, I would say we're all very familiar with. Now Microsoft definitely have quite a few cybersecurity solutions via the cloud. I'll just discuss a few of them as well. Some you might have access to already or may not be aware of. Sort of the main ones that I would say stand out are Windows Defender, Intune, and Azure Information Protection, which I'll break down in a few moments. Now, so Windows Defender is a great email protection, but not necessarily your ideal choice for endpoint protection. And what I mean by that is, so an email protection, it stops you, helps you if you come across any sort of malicious links or anything like that, it will protect you in anything that comes via email. But if your device is actually infected or have some problems itself, that's not where it would solve the issue. But if you do, there is a version of Windows Defender which can help you if your device is actually infected. So that's called Windows Defender for endpoint protection. So it's a different licensing type. So a bit confusing, I know, but just something to watch out for, that the normal Windows Defender is primarily an email protection as well. Now, you can purchase Windows for endpoint licenses. Absolutely, there's some charitable discounts available. They can be a little bit expensive if you need lots of them. They're about £7.50 for the year for one device, which isn't too bad. It's a great discount compared to the commercial sector, but you might be able to get some better offers or bundles elsewhere for sure. But Defender, like I said, can help you protect from opening suspicious links, receiving emails, and even elevate your spam filtering sort of settings as well. Now, Intune is almost a pivotal software option for organizations that use lots of devices remotely. It manages the access for users, accessing files and resources remotely, and can also help set up multi-factor authentication as well. It's really essential if your organization has volunteers that use their own devices as well. It is important that the devices that your volunteers use are monitored in some capacity as well. And finally, as I mentioned, Azure Information Protection, it helps organizations protect their sensitive data by classifying, labeling, and applying encryption and access controls, ensuring that sensitive information remains secure wherever it goes. Now, it provides a comprehensive solution for data protection and compliance, which is definitely important in our GDPR world, and it helps organizations safeguard their most valuable assets. It's a really, really useful tool to ensure that you are, like I said, meeting GDPR compliancy, which is always an important topic. Now, with those three items from Microsoft there, so Defender, Intune, and Azure Information Protection, as separate license options, these can really push your budget up. But the good news is, so there's a couple of options there for you. They're actually all bundled together in a Microsoft product called Enterprise Mobility and Security. And there's various E3 and E5 levels, but you can get them all together in one, which is good. Even better than that is that this enterprise mobility and security product is actually included in the very, very popular charitable Microsoft 365 product called Business Premium, which I wouldn't be surprised if any of you are already using that today. There's some great charitable offers available for it. So if you've got that in place, or even if you're using Business Premium already, you already have access to enterprise mobility and security, which includes those free products that I've mentioned earlier. So by all means, if you haven't heard of that or anything, by all means, take advantage for sure. Just moving on finally from Microsoft, just a light touch on Acronis. So it's another cloud-based cybersecurity solution with various levels of security requirements available. So that's from anti-malware and remote device wiping as well to automated patch management as well. So, and there's a discount code of, I think it's about 50%. It's available via Charity Digital to access a variety of Acronis's services. Just on the next page of some solutions. So again, light touch. So mail shell, I did touch on email protection via sort of Windows Defender or Microsoft earlier. If you're not using Microsoft, a super low cost option for anti-spam is mail shell. So it's about £3 per year per device. It could be an option for those who might be using Gmail or some other type of mail that isn't Microsoft. Again, like I will stress, it's not a full cybersecurity solution. It's just a small part of it, but it is affordable if you're looking to sort of increase anti-spam sort of features as well. Now, Dashlane, many organizations will, sometimes they might have one device shared by multiple people, which can be quite common if you're using volunteers who could be coming and going, working different shift patterns. So in this instance, password storing tends to happen because of that. With passwords, you want to save them securely rather than perhaps, dare I say, a Word document or definitely not a piece of paper. But there's a discount code available that will provide, I think it's 50% on a Dashlane business subscription for 2 or more users. It is a world-renowned, reliable password manager and password generator as well. And it could be a fair option if you're preferring to store passwords rather than encrypting your data. And then finally, Cisco, so a little bit of hardware here. So Cisco products are used to set up internet connections in a physical office. They are mostly hardware, meaning that they are physical items such as routers, firewalls, and switches. They do have some software to go inside with the hardware, but they're primarily known as their hardware. Now, if your group, if your organization has its own office rather than working remotely, investing in safe network hardware, like I said, your routers, security appliances, and switches could be essential. With Cisco being one of the world-renowned leaders for this. Now, if you don't have your own in-person sort of own IT person to implement this, you may want to consider hiring a consultant to help with the implementation of Cisco, which they can help with too. And just a small note again on eligibility, Cisco has, various sort of eligibility restrictions as well. They will help mental health organizations for sure. There's a certain amount that you can spend per year on equipment there. I think it's $8,000 worth of equipment as well. So that's just something to watch out for, that you certainly will be able to get a discount on most of your hardware, but then the rest you might have to get the commercial rate, or maybe Cisco might be able to do a deal with you direct if you go directly to them as well. So suggestions outside of Charity Digital, and just a couple of bit of software options or sort of solutions at the bottom as well. So just a couple of useful links that you can see there. One that we talk about all the time, and quite rightly so, the National Cybersecurity Centre is an invaluable source for knowledge on cybersecurity, and particularly for charities. I'd strongly recommend them as your first stop for any queries cybersecurity related. They also have lots of great free tools as well, such as their web check for vulnerabilities on your website, mail check to help you understand the security of your email configuration, and also the early warning tool, which can help you investigate cyber attacks on your network by notifying you of malicious activity that has been detected. Now, you should really take advantage of their free e-learning tools, like the cybersecurity training for small organizations and charities manual as well. Like I said, we also do a lot of work with them in the form of articles and webinars. You probably see a lot of that on our website, for good reason too. We really believe in the work they do. So do check in with us at Charity Digital for sort of cybersecurity updates. Then there's their website there as well. IASME. Now, if you're looking to obtain your Cyber Essentials accreditation, IASME is a really good choice, as they will provide like sort of special rates for charities, which is really, really great, as Cyber Essentials when you go for that, tends not to have a lot of offers or discounts out there for non-profits or charities, but they certainly will. So by all means, check out IASME. The Charity Finance Group has a hub dedicated to charity fraud with lots of articles from the sector. as well. And Preventing Charity Fraud is another great website and lots of information for charities of all sizes as well. A couple of bits of software that you might be interested in as well, or some things you already have in place as well. So Know Before. So this is a great product which allows you to test the knowledge of your staff's cybersecurity. What we'll do is, so based on the answers that your staff will give in a questionnaire, that person will get training associated with the answers to their questions. So it's specialized specifically to what they've answered, whether it be incorrectly, that type of thing. It's just a really good ongoing training tool, and also really good for onboarding new staff and volunteers as well. I'm not unaware of a non-profit offer for UK charities as well, but it might be worth checking out. We always say at Charity Digital, when you're approaching any sort of hardware, software, or any sort of solutions provider, always ask for a non-profit rate. You don't ask, you don't get. So if that's something of interest to you, it might be worth checking out. And then just something which many of you might already have access to already if you're using PCs. So BitLocker, if you're using Windows devices, you should have this option already available. So it's encryption technology that protects your data from unauthorized access by encrypting your drive and requiring one or more factors of authentication before it will unlock it. Windows will require a BitLocker recovery key when it detects a possible unauthorized attempt to access the data. So this is a really, really useful tool. Definitely, obviously, make sure you save any passwords in the correct way as well, but really useful, particularly if hopefully it doesn't happen, but you have to deal with anything like theft or anything like that as well. So it's something really to consider. Without leaving anyone out, it's not my expertise, but for those using Apple devices, your iCloud data can be encrypted via your standard data protection or advanced data protection for iCloud options. So these are settings you should be able to locate on your device as well. So thanks for bearing with me. I hope you found that interesting. Just going to go to a Q&A now. Now, I've had a couple of pre-submitted questions, so I'll prioritize those first. And by all means, in the meantime, now, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, write it down, and I'll come to it as soon as possible. And I do like my preemptive questions because it gives me a chance just to have a little look at the question and put a nice answer in place. So it makes me look a little bit better. So anyway, so question here is, when vetting a third-party provider for a service such as website management, what cybersecurity checks should we be making? Okay, so there's definitely a few things that you should be looking at. So a couple of things I've listed down here are sort of your vendor assessments. So you want to conduct through cybersecurity assessments of your potential vendors. So in advance of working with them. Contractual obligations. So you want to include specific cybersecurity requirements and compliance clauses in the vendor's contract as well. Regular audits, and this will apply to not just these vendors, but we should all be auditing everything, quite on a sort of fairly regular basis. So you want to do an audit and review your vendor's security practices and policies. Access controls. So this is something that becomes quite problematic for many charities when they work with perhaps IT providers, is that you want to limit vendors' access to only the information necessary for your services. So unfortunately, I've worked in the past with charities who have perhaps lost web access to their emails or website due to bad practice from their IT provider, who often external, maybe they've overcharged them or some sort of arguments in place. But what will happen is, if there are any discrepancies or anything like that, it's quite often that the charity suffers as well, because so much of the control is actually in the hands of the IT provider as well. So it's definitely make sure you have your own access controls where you can. And finally, some security policies, obviously, as well. So you want to you require your vendors to adhere to your organization's security policies and procedures. And just a second question I received here as well. So what policies / best practices should we put in place for user access? In brackets here, we have a lot of volunteers that can come and go, different shifts, should I say. Okay. So Yeah, there's obviously a few things you can put in place there. So something called RBAC, or role-based access control. So you can assign access based on users' role within your organization, ensuring minimum necessary access. So if you're working for volunteers, with volunteers who regularly change, you're not, for example, in Office 365 using that, you won't want to be giving them a global admin access. You want give them the right level of access for what they need to do their job in essentially. We touched on earlier as well, multi-factor or two-factor authentication. So that should be implemented in all critical systems and applications. You should do conduct periodic, regular reviews of user access rights to ensure appropriateness as well. So it's kind of related to my first point as well, but just to make sure people still have the appropriate level of access to any of your backend systems. Strong password policies as well. So do enforce strong password policies, including complexity requirements, perhaps regular changes of passwords. I know I'm saying some stuff there that we all get a little bit annoyed at times. I certainly do, but it's a must really that we must update our passwords on a fairly regular basis in that sense. And then finally on that point as well, access logging. So you want to maintain detailed logs of user access and regularly review them for suspicious activities as well. So those are the preemptive questions. By all means, feel free to type any in the chat. Just going to, in advance here, just type it in the chat. I've just put some feedback. I'm not saying it's finished right this moment, but it's just something I always get reminded to do, to include feedback. It's really, really important to us. If I continue to get good feedback from sessions like this, I can continue to provide sort of focus sessions like this. But by all means, feel free to put any questions in the chat. It's over to you. I'll give you a few moments to type that out, or if you're more comfortable coming off video, or even staying off video and turning your mic on, feel free to do that. I'll give you a few moments. While I wait for anyone to come through again, I'd just like to say thank you for you all to joining me today as well. It's been great for you to join me in that sense, and hopefully you found this information useful today. Perhaps I might have gone over a few things you've come across already in the past, or maybe it's a nice reminder, but I hope you can take something new from this as well. But yeah, okay. Danny, hi. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Joel. Yeah, just a question. Sorry, it might be a little bit complex and throwing you under the bus a bit, so apologies.
Here we go.
It's not been a pre-asked question. We're currently delivering on a few NHS contracts, and it's been brought up a few times to complete NHS Digital Toolkit, which we've done. But then also, again, very technical for me, who's got not really a background in IT, but achieve accreditation to the DCB 1596 standard.
Gosh,
Which
okay.
Would require us being pen tested. So kind of a double barrel question, I suppose. Have you got any experience of charities needing to do that? It's essentially so we can get an NHS email and be accredited on there, so we can basically prove to NHS trusts that our email system's reliable. But to do that, we need pen testing, which is looking at costing potentially thousands and thousands of pounds. So I just wondered if you had any experience of pen testing as well, and if you've got any recommendations of people to maybe speak to.
Sure. Yeah, no problem at all. Wow. Yeah. So really what the NHS are doing there is what I've sort of mentioned in this sort of webinar already. They're doing their own sort of checks on you. So I can understand why they're doing it, particularly NHS. It's like the hub or the place of data protection and specified data for sure. I would say it's not something I come across with pen testing myself. What I would suggest, just because like you said, it's gone a little bit technical, which in an area which I don't want to sort of put you in the wrong direction for. There is a really good service available to all charities, which is called Digital Candle. So you search that on Google. So they provide free consultations to charities about pretty much most subjects to do with digital, and they have they vetted, like, on their website, I think it's nearly 500 experts on covering various topic areas, and if they don't have anyone immediately available for your question, they will then source that and sort of conduct their own sort of searches for that. So I would suggest starting there at the very least as well. Starting off with Digital Candle for sure. But what the NHS are asking you to do, I'm not surprised. I can just understand it from your point, the pen testing in the thousands. You're just hoping that it will go. I guess the contract will go through, and then that sense is what you're getting worried, a little bit worried about. And also in my experience as well, I hope, no offense to anyone from the NHS too much here, is that sometimes different divisions of the NHS are a little bit slow with payments for various reasons. Like they, I imagine payments and things like that have to go through various channels. So I think maybe I can understand some of your concern of having to, I guess, put your hand in your own pocket to do the pen tests and then go and hopefully get in the contract. But hopefully you find that useful. Maybe it's not the exact answer you need right now, but I do think that Digital Candle could be the next step for you. Okay, let's just check chat. Very welcome, Kit. Okay. I have one little moment. If anyone wants to put their hand up or type in the question, no problem. But I think I might have covered everything today, and I think you've all got some time back for your lunches. So, okay, like I said, here's the feedback form again. I'm just going to type it in chat. It's really, really useful for us at Charity Digital just to ensure that we can continue to deliver impact in these variety of ways rather than just being articles or email or phone. We want to communicate with you all in different ways, and that feedback that you will share is something that, for example, I could present to our board of trustees, and if it's all good, then we can continue doing stuff like this for sure. So yeah, on that level, I think I will close that off unless yeah, and by all means, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great afternoon.